are all humanists. Islam has never been a religion of hate and violence, but there are some sick individuals that have decided to take matters into their own hands. Vigilantes, just killers, murderers. They should be called murderers and not Islamic fundamentalists or Islamic terrorists. I get so upset when I see Islam connected to any time that there's terrorism. We don't see that happen with other faiths and other religions. A week before the San Bernardino killings, we didn't see with the abortion clinic shooting that this was a man that had any ideology, because we all know such people of violence and senseless killing do not have ideology, nor do they have a real religion. We can make that distinction. But unfortunately with Muslims, every time someone does something whose name even sounds Muslim, immediately you'll see Muslims throughout this country condemning these acts of violence. We don't see that when Christians will do something, because we know Christianity has nothing to do with that. We don't see that if something happens with Judaism, that the rabbis will have to apologize for sick actions of individuals that are taking matters into their own hand and killing other people. Islam is a religion of peace, and I can prove that to you from the Quran. In the Quran there are many verses, and the problem we have in our time is ignorance. The common enemy of all is ignorance. People will read verses out of the Quran and they'll take it out of place as if we cannot do that with the Bible. If you're sick, you can do that with any text of any religion. But when we see it with Islam, we see kill infidels and ridiculous things like that that are taken out of place. We don't hear the verses of the Quran that say, those who do not drive you away from your homes or who kill you, God commands you to be just and be fair with them and to show them compassion. This is Islam. This is the Islam that I practice, and it's the Islam of 99.99% of people throughout the world. There are 1.5 to 1.7 billion Muslims. With ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the rest of these murderers and killers, were you to add them up, they don't equal 0.001% of this entire Muslim faith, but we're on the news with a negative light 99.99% of the time. Is it not? Yes. So we're here to show that we are against violence, and we are also very frustrated with media coverage, with others that are not representing and being fair. We're all people of justice and to be fair. So we call upon all to start being fair and stop calling these people Muslim or Islamic terrorists. They should call them, murderers. That's why we changed the name of ISIS, Islamic State, because they have no Islamic State. They're called Daesh, and the majority of their victims are actually other Muslims. The Prophet Muhammad, when he came to Medina, where he migrated to a city of multicultural, different people, there was a pluralistic society of Jews and many other faiths that were there. The first talk that he gave is he said, "O humanity, spread peace. Spread peace." And that's what we are trying to do. Spread peace, feed others, feed the people. This is a holiday time where people are celebrating Christmas, and I believe this is still the celebration of Hanukkah. This is what we want to do. Encourage people to respect one another's faith. This is what made America great and what makes America great.
Yes.
And we send a message to extremists, to terrorists, and all other people. We are American, we are Muslim, we are proud, and we're not going anywhere, whether anyone likes it or not. That includes many politicians in Washington, but I can tell you I'm proud of President Obama, what he said last week, in that he made a very clear distinction, as did George W. Bush, that Islam has been hijacked by lunatics and by killers and, misrepresented, and then we're taking all the blame. I grew up all my life never getting in a fight with a single person. I've never harmed anyone, and I'm proud of that. And I don't intend in my entire life to harm a single person. And we're all the Muslims standing here. Raise your hand, all the Muslims who would agree that you would never do that as well. This is Islam and Muslim. And I know many people in our wonderful community have seen that. And that's why you're here, to show your support. I thank each and every one of you who have come out. We're also here on this night remembering the victims of the shootings of San Bernardino. It is very, very sad, and our hearts and our prayers go out to their families and all the ones that suffered. Also to note that the Muslims of Los Angeles went on a campaign to raise money in order to help the victims' families, because this is the thing that we should do as fellow Americans and as fellow people of faith. I pray and I hope for a better day, a day when we can all live in a peaceful society, where we will all be proud to be American, Jewish, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, agnostic, atheist, whatever you be. The point is you're American, you're here to live in peace, and you're here to promote peace, and we can all do so together. At the end of tonight, we will have a moment of silence and prayers, but before we do that, I would like to call upon stage some of the wonderful leaders of our community, and I apologize that we couldn't have everyone come up. It is a cold night and many would be very upset at us, but we would like to just proceed on to first having, I lost my list, but I'm going to call on Rabbi Steve Cohen first. Steve and I, we do a lot of work together, and he always seems to be next to me at every program. Sometimes they're trying to show that Jews and Muslims get together, but we don't need that. We know who we are, and we love one another, so Rabbi Steve will speak very briefly. Can you hear me? Yes. Over 3,000 years ago, our prophet Moses, peace be upon him, spoke to the children of Israel on the plains of Moab, saying, I call heaven and earth today to bear witness. Life and death I have set before you, the blessing and the curse. Therefore choose life, that you and your children may live. Amen. Today, once again, we face a choice as a community and as a nation between life and death, between friendship and hatred, between courage and fear, between blessing and curse. We hear the howling voices in our world, in our nation, and in our own communities, demanding that we choose fear and hatred. But that has never been the choice that God desires. On behalf of the Jewish community of Santa Barbara, I wish to thank our Muslim brothers and sisters, and especially my good friends, Imam Yama and Aida, for bringing us together tonight, that we may remind ourselves to choose life, to choose friendship, courage, and blessing, that we may live together on this earth, we and our children. Salam. Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi Steve. Next, I'd like to call Reverend Mark Asman to come say a few words. Thank you very much.
Well, this isn't like Sunday morning. It's a cold night, so I will be brief. I have never been so proud of our community before than I am tonight. And I have never been more proud of my interfaith sisters and brothers than I am tonight. I especially want to thank the Islamic Society of Santa Barbara, Yama and Aida, for bringing us together, and all who made this evening possible. Our community is stronger and better when we stand together for our shared values of peace, compassion, and justice. As a member of the Christian community, when we look to our history, Our history has told us that when we betray our faith and our tradition, we fail to stand up against the voices of fear and bigotry. Our gathering tonight represents the rainbow diversity of our various faith traditions. When we stand together like we do tonight, we represent what is best about our shared values of peace, compassion, and justice. And finally, I would say, I humbly submit that as an interfaith partner, when we stand and act together, in part, we are what hope for the future of our planet looks like. Salem, shalom, peace.
Next we'll have Rabbi Arthur Gross-Schaefer from Montecito Shul.
I want to thank Aida, before it's that second building, but Aida and they say that these are Muslims. We say these are our neighbors and our friends. They say that the model used with the Japanese Americans, the model we should embrace. We say that was racist, xenophobic, and a stain on our character. They say that when we are afraid, we act out of that fear with hatred. We say that even though we may be concerned, we act out of our love. Mother Teresa wrote, "We have no peace because we have forgotten that we belong to each other." We say here in Santa Barbara, we know that we belong to each other. Thank you.
Reverend Julia Hamilton.
All right.
Thanks to all of you for working together to make this evening a peaceful demonstration of how we can be as a community. We are a beacon in Santa Barbara and to the rest of this nation to show how coming together in a peaceful public witness can demonstrate our willingness to respond with love when there are so many who would like to coerce us into hate. Do not respond, do not be pulled into hatred. Respond out of compassion. Respond out of love. But do respond. The worst thing we can do is remain silent. The worst thing we can do is keep our compassion hidden, to let fear drive our love into a small place in our hearts. Let our love expand. Let it push out the boundaries of the fear and hate that seek to divide us until we realize that we are bound together in our common humanity, in our shared desire for a peaceful world for our children, and for a vision of a community that can rise above the rhetoric and see one another for the lovely human beings that we all are. Go in peace this evening, my friends.
Is Mark Richardson here? Reverend Mark Richardson.
Well, I too am so impressed that we came together as people of goodwill, people of faith, people who know that we are part of a community that believes and values our shared humanity and our shared values. And we come...
Get close to the bullhorn.
Okay, sorry.
There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. I just have one little quote that came from our General Secretary of Church and Society that I wanted to share with you. Her name is Susan Henry Crow, and she said, Islam and its Muslim adherents are not the problem. Like Judaism and Christianity, Islam is not an extremist religion. It is one of the monotheistic Abrahamic traditions that teaches the wonder and mystery of God, the sacredness of humanity, the mandate to pray and to serve humankind by seeking and promoting peace. I just thought those words encapsulated so well why we are here together tonight, that we are coming together to cultivate that peace and that shared humanity that we have. And so thank you all for coming, and thank you so much to Imam, Yama, and to Aida for planning this occasion.
This is Vrajaprana from the Hindu Vedanta temple. We'll say a couple words.
It's a privilege to be here with like-minded people. The Hindu tradition says, truth is one, sages call it by various names. All the religions of the world, our scriptures say, are like pearls on a string, each reflecting the infinite diversity and divinity of the one ultimate reality. This group here shows this beauty of this infinite diversity. Our tradition also says, no one is a stranger. The whole world is your own. We should not be thinking in terms of whose religion, whose culture, who's white, who's black, who's this or that. We're only one family, one tradition, one humanity, united in love, united in being, and sharing the compassion that we all have. I'm so proud and honored to be here tonight. Thank you, Aida. Thank you.
Thank you all so far. Can we get Reverend Larry Schellink from Unitarian?
It's actually unity, and unity stands for all faith, honoring all the many paths to God. And I don't know what the temperature is out here tonight, but I would say that this is the warmest place in Santa Barbara right now. Because all these hearts are beating with so much love. And not much more needs to be said than that. You are making the message tonight that is ringing loud and clear across Santa Barbara by your presence, by your involvement, by your commitment to what we all believe in, which is we judge people by their character, not by any label, not by even their religion. We know people by their fruits, as Jesus said, by their fruits you will know them. And the fruits of this Muslim community, the way they serve, the way they work with other faiths. We've had them at our interfaith prayer service on a couple of occasions, and they're so willing to participate and be involved. So I say a new proposal. Let us ban the entry of intolerance, and let us ban the entry of bigotry into the hearts and minds of people, so that we can get along and honor each other for who we really are. We see that tonight. We are grateful.
Now I would like to call upon someone who's not expecting me to call upon him. And this is actually a person who first thought of this idea and then told me to do it. My wife, Aida Aminzai.
Hi, everyone. Hi. I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for being here tonight and supporting supporting us here. This is such an amazing turnout. I'm speechless really, but I want to especially thank Marty Jenkins here sitting with me. He has dubbed himself my assistant. And so he will be my campaign manager. 2020, Aida and Marty.
Aida for president.
Let's start slow. We'll start at ARP. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It's really cold. I'm sure you all want to go get a nice, warm cup of hot chocolate. I know that's what I want. You know, what we need to really do here tonight is we need a moment of silence for the victims of San Bernardino. I would like to call upon everyone to please, let's have a minute of silence together. Everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ida.
Next, we will have one more speaker, David Moore. Thank you, everyone, for your patience, and then we will conclude. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is David, or in Arabic, Daoud. It's good to see everybody here. My wife and Diane and I turned on the television midday to observe the report of an active shooter. As a person who has spent lots of time in the Inland Empire, the first thought that came to my mind was, I hope that it's not somebody that I know who's being killed. And I was distressed over that. And I was somewhat pleased to find out that it was no one that I knew, but someone who was a friend of someone close to me, one of the victims. But the second thought that I had, you know, I got to tell you that living here in Santa Barbara, whenever there's a crime committed, first thing that comes to mind is I hope they're not African American.
Yeah.
You know, when the report comes in, and I know my Latino friends, they say the same thing. Hear the report, hope it's not somebody who's Latino. But my first thought, after hoping that it wasn't someone that I knew who was the victim, was not, I hope it wasn't that the perpetrator or perpetrators were not African American, but I was hoping that it was not someone doing it in the name of Islam. For the very express reason that I knew what the outcome would be in terms of the response socially, nationwide, what we have seen in terms of the Islamophobia. People have come from every part of the world as immigrants to this country. From Europe, from Asia, from Latin America. In many cases, they have stepped comfortably on the backs of my people to raise themselves up and create a brand new identity for themselves over and against the identity of my people. And yet at the same time, there's a compassion that's been inbred in many of us. And I, as a Christian and as a pastor, have to announce that the message of Jesus is forgiveness. And we don't even have the luxury of choosing to forgive if we're following Jesus. The decision has been made. When we enter into relationship with Jesus, it is a relationship of forgiveness. We experience forgiveness, and we are mandated to provide for it. We may not always know where we're going to come up with the strength. We turn to our Creator for grace in order to provide forgiveness. It's not a question of if we're going to forgive, it's just how we're going to forgive, because it's not always easy. And there was something inside of me that day that was willing to bend over and provide my back voluntarily to my Muslim brothers and sisters around this country. And to say to them, we know what it's like to feel the slights, the insults, the oppression, the castigation, the stigmatization, the false characterization, the hate. We know what it's like. We know what it feels like. But maybe you don't quite know historically how we feel. And so I was willing, my spirit was willing to bow down and say to my Muslim brothers and sisters, we've been there. We know what it feels like. And we want you to have a fighting chance. We want you to put your foot on our backs and raise yourself up in this country. Because you belong here just like we belong here. You have a stake in this country. This country belongs to you as much as it belongs to anybody else. I want to announce that to you. If you are Muslim, you belong in this country. It is yours as much as it is mine or anybody else's.
That's right.
I am so sorry, but we have one last speaker, and how can we not when we have to respect our leader of our town, the mayor?
Thank you. I'll be brief because it is cold, but I feel the warmth of the love around here. What an amazing sight this is. I want to welcome you to this plaza, the place where the people come to express their views with freedom of religion, freedom of the press, freedom of speech. We have the press here, we have our city attorneys here, we have the home that shows the heritage of the city of Santa Barbara, and we know we can do better in this nation. Right. As someone who comes from a very multicultural background, my father's from a Jewish faith, my mother's from the Protestant faith, I have family from Ukrainian Catholicism and Mexican Catholic. My dad always would tease that in Thanksgiving was more like a UN conference than anything else. But I have to say, it's because of that upbringing and being able, and we do that here in Santa Barbara, and this is a perfect example, this interfaith alliance, that we are stronger together. And when we come together in love and not in fear, we can conquer things that no one could ever imagine, but only when we do it together. We are under the American flag that is about truth and justice and freedom. And I hope that we can move forward in that capacity in love. Thank you very much, and thank you all for
Open the winter's shelter for Santa Barbara's homeless. Open the winter's shelter from December 1st to April 1st.
So, there's a prayer here from Unity. Okay. So it mentions, O thou King, Lord, unite all, let the religions agree, and make the nations one, so that we may see each other as one family, and the whole earth as one family, and the whole earth as one's home. May they live all together in perfect harmony. Thank you, everyone, from the bottom of my heart, and this cold night. May God bless you all. Thank you for your support, and we hope to see you all soon when we open up our